My name's Lucy, also known as That Carnivore Nurse, and welcome back to my channel. What is a carnivore diet and what does that mean for you? A carnivore diet is a proper human diet. It's a way of eating that centers around animal products and predominantly fatty red meat. Fatty red meat appears to be the most indicated food for a human to eat. As much as a carnivore diet is about what you choose to eat, it's also a lot about what you choose to not eat. A carnivore diet doesn't typically involve plants, fungi, or artificial chemicals. The carnivore diet is an elimination diet. It eliminates a huge array of dietary toxins that could be contributing to or potentially causing a person's health concerns. And for many, it's the elimination aspect of a carnivore diet that is the most important. The main principle behind a carnivore diet is this: every species has evolved in a dietary niche. Pandas eat bamboo, cows eat grass, koalas eat eucalyptus. All animals have adapted through evolution and selection pressures to consume certain foods. And humans are no different. And for us, the most indicated food is meat, animal fats, animal proteins. When an animal eats its species appropriate diet, its body can react species appropriately, which is a state of health. The body's natural state is a state of health. It's always striving to self heal, self repair, and be as healthy as it's able to be. The level of health that an individual is able to obtain is largely based on the environment that they put their bodies in, based on the response of their specific genes. The problem is now, for many of us, we have placed our bodies in a very species inappropriate environment. And because of that, we aren't seeing health anymore. We are seeing a huge increase in species inappropriate reactions, which is ill health. What if what we are calling the disease epidemic isn't actually a disease epidemic in the traditional sense, but what we are actually seeing is a plethora of symptoms of toxicity? We have placed our bodies into a species inappropriate environment, an environment full of dietary toxins that have resulted in symptoms of toxicity. So, what is our species inappropriate diet? What are we exposing ourselves to that is making us ill? There are many toxins in our environment, but I think one of the most pertinent and destructive one is ultra processed foods. Ultra processed foods are fake foods designed in a lab to be extremely irresistible, delicious, compulsive, and addictive. Fake food has given us a very unnatural product that is very high in sugar as well as fat. This mixed macronutrient combination is not found often in nature at all. The body is not used to processing or being exposed to this sort of food. And it's this aspect of them which makes them delicious to us, makes them irresistible. They're very energy dense, they taste really nice, they excite our brain, they elicit a dopamine response, and we just cannot stop eating them. But ultra processed foods aren't the only toxins in our environment. Modern day diet is also very high in plants. I understand it could feel very strange to hear this, but eating plants, vegetables, starches, whole grains, pulses, lentils, these things aren't the healthiest foods that humans could eat. And for many, they can actually be problematic. Every living organism, whether it's an animal or a plant, is in an evolutionary arms race. We are all striving to survive and pass on our genes. Animals can do this by punching, kicking, running away, fighting back, biting. They have a physical capacity to defend themselves. Plants cannot do this because they're rooted to the ground. So, to defend themselves from predators, they produce chemical warfare. They produce defense chemicals in order to harm any predator that is trying to eat them. And we all know this too. I was told when I was young, do not eat the red berries, Lucy. Don't eat the red berries. They're poisonous. And I knew not to eat the red berries because if I did, I was going to get ill. The same goes for all plants, obviously to a lesser degree. We don't instantly drop dead when we eat a broccoli, but these defense chemicals are still there. For example, there's oxalate, lectins, phytates, phytoestrogens. All of these compounds can be deleterious to the human body. We eat them, they can build up and they can damage us. Plants also contain anti-nutrients, including the defense chemicals I just mentioned. These can bind to other nutrients in our body and prevent our body from absorbing them. Fiber in plants is also better described as an anti-nutrient. It blocks the absorption of other nutrition in our food and prevents our body from accessing it. These defense chemicals and the fiber in plants can actually be very problematic for some people. They can damage the gut, they can be very aggressive on the gut lining, and they can cause a lot of gastrointestinal issues. Plants are not essential in the human diet. Plants are nutritionally incomplete. They do not provide all the essential nutrients that the body needs to survive in a bioavailable and easily accessible form. On top of that, they then do carry a degree of toxicity. On the other hand, meat, animal products, it provides the full array of essential amino acids, fatty acids, vitamins, and minerals in a very bioavailable, easily digestible, and accessible form. And this understanding forms the basis of a carnivore diet. It's a diet that eliminates the toxic burden from that person's environment, whilst then giving the most nutrient dense, non toxic food source that we could eat, which is the meat, the animal fats, the animal proteins. And it's within this combination of these two things that can help place the body back in its species appropriate environment, whereby it can have a species appropriate response to self heal, self repair, and give the body the best chance to find a state of health. And I understand that it could feel very unnatural to hear that plants aren't essential and aren't the healthiest thing that we could eat, because we've been told the complete opposite. I grew up thinking that the healthiest thing I could do for myself was eat as many vegetables as possible, fiber, whole grains, porridge, chia seeds, all of these things. I thought that was health. And of course, I thought that because that's what we've been told. Traditional dietary guidelines, like the Eat Well Guide, tell us to center our diets around carbohydrates, around starchy plants like pasta, bread, rice, cereals, and then we need to have 5 a day, and then now it was 7 a day, like it was always changing. And our protein should be lean protein sources, chicken breasts, lean beef mince. We should cut the fat off and avoid the fat because the fat was bad for us. And of the fat we should eat plant fat, we should eat seed oils, vegetable oils, margarine, which are highly processed oils that the body has not seen before until the last century. So they're very unnatural to us. It appears that these guidelines, this dietary advice is incorrect. These recommendations were formed of flawed and biased science. The original food pyramid that the current dietary recommendations are based off was released by the American Heart Association and Ansel Keys. These guidelines were a product of the causative claim that eating saturated animal fats increased our cholesterol, and this increase in cholesterol was the cause for atherosclerosis, for plaque buildup, and heart attacks. The one major problem here is that it's next to impossible to make causative claims like this within the realm of nutritional research and nutritional science. In order to determine causation from a specific food, we would have to conduct a study that ensured to control for all confounding variables that could impact the outcome that we're trying to measure. So to do this, you'd have to get two genetically identical people to control for genetic variables. You'd have to lock them in a metabolic lab from birth, treat these two people exactly the same every single day, except the one causative variable you're trying to measure, and then do this over their entire lifespan. If by some unethical miracle that you manage to do this, you then have a sample size of two people. So you need to repeat this experiment multiple times to get a large enough data set to then be able to generalize the data to a wider population. You can clearly see that a study like this is impossible, unethical, and never going to happen. And it didn't happen back when they made the claims that saturated fat and cholesterol causes heart attacks. And yet still, the food pyramid came out. The idea that saturated fat and cholesterol was bad for us was taken as a scientific truth, and it gave rise to the high carbohydrate, plant based, low fat diet that we recommend now to everyone. They are the national guidelines of many countries, and this is the dietary advice that patients are given and that a dietitian would be taught in university. If we are striving for evidence based practice, this is not the evidence. And yet, this is the dietary guidelines and the dietary advice that we go by. And let's see where we are. Heart disease is the number one killer, ill health is rife, and more people are overweight than not. So, what does this all mean for you? What does a carnivore diet mean for you? A carnivore diet is an opportunity to alleviate yourself from a toxic burden that could be causing your issues. It's an opportunity to find out whether something you are eating is your root cause. Whether it's from ultra processed foods, the seed oils, the refined carbohydrates, the sugar, or whether it's from whole plant foods, the oxalates, the lectins, the phytates, the tannins, the fiber. By removing the plant toxins, by removing the ultra processed foods, and by giving yourself the most nutrient dense, human appropriate foods, it can help you find this out. Commit for 90 days, find out for yourself. If nothing changes in those 90 days, at least you ate some delicious meals. I don't talk about carnivore to be dogmatic. I just want to be straightforward and clear. Until we can realize that there is no amount of medication that is more effective than removing the toxic burden from the person's environment, we are going to struggle to help people. Take lead poisoning, for example. We can all agree if someone has lead poisoning, the most important thing to do first is remove the lead from that person's environment. It would seem very illogical to start fussing around to try and alleviate the symptoms of lead poisoning before actually addressing the reason why they have lead poisoning in the first place. We can all see and agree that the most logical first step to take is to remove the lead from the environment. The same thing is happening now. I'm not saying this to deny modern medicine, but modern medicine also can't deny the potency of correct lifestyle intervention. If you're a doctor or a nurse or anyone that works in healthcare, how many patients have you seen recover from a chronic disease? How many of your patients with type 2 diabetes have you helped to put into remission? If it's anything like myself, it's zero. We are clearly missing something here, and that is addressing the root cause. We need to understand that unless we address the root cause to why someone is ill in the first place, we are really going to struggle to help them. Healing from toxic exposure without addressing the toxin is very hard. I think I'm going to leave it there. I'm trying to keep this concise. I hope you found it helpful. Let me know what else you want to see from me. Okay, bye.